Hey, I'm Jason Concepcion, and this is Shea Serrano. We're here from TheRinger.com to walk you through the continuity of Fast and the Furious and how we got to Hobbs and Shaw.
On green, I'm going for it.
Fast and the Furious, 2001. That's where it all started, Shea.
It did.
This is a fun movie. This is your favorite movie of the series.
Yes, because I like the movies that set up all of the pieces.
Nice.
That you need. This was like a silly sort of fun movie. You went to the movies.
Yeah.
You watched it. You left. You got in your car. You did a fucking burnout in your Honda.
Fuck
Out of the parking lot.
Fucking 95 Honda Civic, just like.
And then you never thought about it again. You're like, oh, that was a fun movie to watch one time. And then you ended up watching it again and again and again. And they made 2 and 3 and.
It was basically a Point Break remake with cars, where our good friend Brian, who's a young member of the LAPD, is sent undercover to figure out who this racing criminal syndicate that's been doing various robberies is. And that's how we meet Dominic Toretto, his sister Mia, who Brian quickly falls for, and his whole group of rapscallions. Fast forward to the end, Brian has a chance to apprehend Dominic, but there's too much respect there.
Yeah, it turns out he was the one orchestrating all the
That's
robberies.
Right. And then at the end, Brian is like, you know what? Why don't you take my car and escape? Because you beat me in that race previously. I didn't really give you my car, and see ya. It was great. And it set up the kind of template going forward, which is good guys flirting, the line between good guys and bad guys being kind of blurred.
Always a good move.
And the idea of this gang can be our family, this extended family.
Brian and Dom at the end, it's Pacino and De Niro.
I love it.
Heat. We're like, we respect each other.
It was beautiful.
It's great.
Come on, Brian, bring it home, man.
Next comes 2003's Too Fast and Too Furious. My issue is, this is the only main series non-spin-off movie that doesn't have Dom and the crew. The upside is, we get introduced to Roman.
So watching him, Tyrese Gibson, who's incredibly handsome,
He's a handsome
and
man.
Paul Walker, who is also incredibly handsome.
Two handsome men.
Just being together and like laughing and having fun.
I'm getting choked up now thinking about it. It's
really good. And also, this is the movie that has like the second best villain moment in the franchise.
Which one is that?
This is Carter Verone, who's a bad villain. Okay, we'll establish that he's not a great villain, but he has a moment where he's trying to like punish a person. He lays the guy down, opens his shirt, puts a rat inside of a bucket on the guy's
the rat
belly,
in the bucket,
and then heats it up, and he's like, he's gonna dig through your stomach. Which I don't know if that's true.
Game of Thrones ripped it off, by the way.
Did they really?
Yeah, they ripped it off.
Well, there you go. So this is a good movie.
At least we know you can't beat me straight up.
I didn't know there were any rules.
2009, let's get the band back together. Fast and Furious, directed by Justin Lin. Now the first really main movie directed by Justin Lin, who would put his imprint on this film. The tagline in the trailer was, new model, original parts. I like it.
I wish they would have spent 4 more minutes coming up with titles. Because it gets confusing.
Oh, yeah, it really does.
Yeah, The Fast and the Furious. Fast and Furious.
Fate of the Furious.
Yeah. It's like, can you just call it Fast and Furious 2?
Why can't they do FAFU? The next
that's awful
FAFU,
is why.
FAFU X.
Facts?
Or just F.
Facts?
F.
This is already a bad idea. When you start doing this with your fingers is how you know.
F and F plus FX for Fast and Furious 10.
You can't have FX next to each other. It's like special effects.
Okay.
It sounds like Fast and FX.
FF than one of those like slashes, FF/X.
Or the
Six.
Fast and the Furious 2. Or that. Just that.
In this movie, we find out that Letty has been killed,
Yes.
off screen, kind of, by an enforcer for the drug bad guy, and the enforcer's name is Phoenix, and he kills Letty in an explosion. That's really the important thing you need to know about this movie, other than Brian is back, Dom is back, the crew is back.
This is the first time we get a Brian versus Dominic fight.
Oh, because Brian
Brian was responsible for Letty's death.
basically, he had put her undercover because she wanted to clear Dominic's name
Yes.
by going undercover with this drug group and trying to clear him so he could come back.
That's
into
how
life.
down Letty was.
Letty is down for the shit. Even when she has amnesia, she is a ride or die. That's a spoiler. Moving on. Fast 5, 2011, Justin Lin. My personal favorite, I think.
That's a solid pick. If you're picking favorites, it either has to be Fast 5, Furious 7, or the Fast and the Furious. It's got to be one of those three. Anybody else who picks a different one can get fucked.
Get fucked. Two most important things about Fast 5. One, heists move front and center to the plot. So it's like the series was kind of about like sort of a Robin Hood vibe, taking down these drug dealers, undercover agents. Now it's like our team is just basically like super heister agents, and they take down a $100 million score from another drug dealer, dragging like a multi-ton safe through the streets. And and the second thing that's really important about this is it introduces Luke Hobbs, who is like a diplomatic security.
He's from the DDS.
What the fuck is that? Why is he involved in this shit? What is that?
He's got to capture Dom. Nobody else can capture him.
But why is it not the FBI or something?
Because the FBI couldn't.
Fuck the FBI.
Brian was with the FBI.
That's right.
And they
You
got
can't
away.
trust him.
It was done. So they called in the big guns. They called in The Rock
It was like,
to go get
here.
him. And The Rock got beat up.
He got beat the fuck up.
And then they escaped. And then he helped them escape. This is how great Dominic Toretto is. Every character who he has ever been in a scene with has eventually fallen in love with him.
That's
and
it.
It's like, I need to help this person. But Fast 5 is important because Fast 5 is when they finally nailed down the formula for
Right.
what the franchise should be.
They got the chemistry right.
They got all of the pieces now. So in the Fast and the Furious, this is world building now. We're going to introduce you to the main characters. Too Fast, Too Furious, we're going to open the world up and show you they have friends outside of what we've seen so far. Tokyo Drift makes the game international.
Right.
Fast 4 ups the stakes.
Ups the stakes.
Fast 5, we've got all of the pieces now.
That's right.
And now we're fucking punch it. We're
That's
going
right.
off the side of a mountain. This is another movie that has a moment in it where you're like, oh, they're doing something special here.
Okay,
In the
yeah,
first
totally.
one, it was the 10-second car line.
Yeah.
And this one, at the end, after they have stolen the safe away, and they do like the little side trick, and they trick the Rock
Right.
again.
Safe's empty.
Who, by the way, is he's a horrible like DDS officer. He gets beat up. We talked
gets
about
beat
that.
up.
He helps Vin escape. We talked about that. His whole team gets murdered.
They get murdered in front of him.
leads them
blown
into a
up by
sabotage.
grenades as the Rock stands there. He's like, "Ugh."
And he has to have his life saved by Dom. But the great moment in this one is at the end, after they have stolen the safe, and then we see the Rock gets the fake safe, and he opens it, and it's empty. There it is. And then Ludacris opens this gigantic safe. They pull the door open, the money starts falling out, and we get quick shots of all
everybody's
of
just like-
them. Yeah, and they do such a good job. Like, I honestly felt like they had won or earned this money,
yeah.
and they were all getting to keep what they
The
saw.
incredible, the reaction shots. I love the two Brazilian guys who were just like,
Yes. It seemed like the director had told them that
Right.
this is real. You guys get to keep this.
I know, right?
One last thing before we move on.
Yeah.
I think it's important to point out that when The Rock runs up on Dom the first time, and we get the "This is Brazil,"
This is Brazil.
we get that scene. The Rock makes a special point to mention how Dominic Toretto is not some super criminal. He's just a guy who beat a guy with a wrench. That's all that he is. Everybody's like taken with him. He's just that. And then later on in the movie, when they finally have their fight, Dominic Toretto beats him up, has the chance to kill him with the wrench.
Doesn't do it.
And he doesn't do it.
Doesn't do it. Also, I love that scene because it's like they've set The Rock up. They've set Hobbs up so they can put trackers on his team's cars. And they like lured him to this spot, and then like he gets there, and it's Brian sitting on the hood of his car, and Dominic sitting on the hood of his car, and they're just like in a conversation with like 300 people around watching them have a conversation. It's so weird.
And he walks right into the trap.
Yeah.
Again, Hobbs.
Not great.
He has a line in Hobbs and Shaw where he's like, I'm the best tracker in the world. I've saved the world X amount. And it's like, no, you got beat up. And then every other time you had to have Dom come capture the guy.
Right.
And that you need to have
and then you're
captured.
always like having letting Dom escape. So like, are you good at your job? Like, what's happening?
And I love him.
Get us to Letty. We'll get you Shaw. Full pardons all the way around.
I can't promise you that.
Yes, you can.
That's the deal. Take it or leave it.
So then, Fast and the Furious 6, directed by Justin Lin, Letty back. What does it mean for us to have Letty back in our lives? Were you shocked by this?
Well, no, because we had seen it already.
No,
at the
but
end
I'm
of
saying
5.
like, so the reveal that she's back, and then
I was shocked by that.
Yeah. Yeah.
In San Antonio, Letty's back. Fucking streamer. Fireworks in the theater. Everybody's going nuts. We had our queen back.
Yes.
So we were really excited about number 6, and she shows up, and we find out she has amnesia.
She's working for Owen Shaw,
Owen Shaw,
who is
yeah.
Deckard Shaw's brother from Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, and it turns out the story was she didn't die in the crash that they thought she died in. She happened to crawl out of the car before it exploded, whatever. And then Shaw found her in the hospital.
Right.
In the hospital. And she had amnesia, so he's like, "Oh, you have this skill set." For some reason, she forgot everything except how to drive.
A Jason Bourne situation.
Yeah. And so he brings her onto his team, which is a great call by him.
Yes, just smart.
What they do that's really smart in this one is Dom sees her, and he's like, "Oh my God, she's alive." He's really excited, like this is a real thing. He's chasing after her, but she doesn't recognize him, and he never like forces the issue. He just sort of keeps showing up, and it's like a really. They handled it in a very tender way to let you know he really does love her, and he can't just come on and say we're married. He has to make her.
He has to guide her back to the light.
And again, this is another example of how magnetic he is. He has to make a person from the team trying to kill him fall back in love with him for a second time, and he does it. This is also the movie where we have the second best fight of the franchise. And it's Letty versus the Muscle.
Oh, yeah.
And they fight in the subway. And then she ends up shooting her out of the airplane with the fucking harpoon gun.
That's fucking
or something. But the subway fight.
Gina Carano.
Listen, Michelle Rodriguez is like a top-level movie fighter. She's so good at just being violent.
Yeah.
There are different versions of fight, you know. We've got slick movie fighters. We've got like abrasive movie fighter. It's just violent. If you get in a fight with her, you're going to feel it. She's going to feel it.
This is my favorite line, I think, of all the whole series is in this. So Han and Giselle are racing under the wing of the cargo plane on the 1,000-mile runway, and she's climbing out of the car to shoot a harpoon like at the wing, and he's like, "Be careful." And she looks at him with that smoldering look, you know, and she says, "This is who we are." I don't know what the fuck that means. But I love it. It's great.
It's one of those ones where you don't know what it means, but you know exactly what it means.
Yeah, I can't explain it, but it's like I feel that line, but I don't understand the line.
Yeah.
With what, huh? Your skateboard? Easy to sound cocky when you got no ride.
Take mine.
Let's race.
In fictional continuity comes Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift from 2006. Why? Because in the mid-credit stinger, at the end of Fast and the Furious 6, we discover that Han has been killed in Tokyo by a man that we eventually found out is Deckard Shaw, Owen Shaw's brother. He blows up Han's car. There's a car accident. Han dies in an explosion. And this person, Jason Statham, who plays Deckard Shaw, calls Dominic and is like, "You don't know who I am, but you will soon." When is it like?
That's a good impression.
You don't know who I am, but you will.
It got better.
Brother.
It got better.
And that's it. And you're just like, no, Han, I can't believe this.
Yeah, I don't know how you kill off Han.
But then again, we'll get into this in a second. So then comes Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, which is like, you don't really need to know about it other than to know that Han dies at the end, and it's basically a spin-off movie about a kid who goes to Japan and gets involved in the underground racing scene, and Han dies in it, and is retconned to be murdered by Deckard Shaw of Hobbs and Shaw fame.
Oh, my soul, thou hast said unto the Lord, Thou art my Lord, my goodness extendeth not to thee, but to the saints that are in the
They say to live in the hearts of those we leave behind is not to die. But he put you in his grave. So now I'll do the same to him.
Then comes Furious 7 from 2015, directed by James Wan. Guess who the bad guy is? It's Deckard Shaw.
The best bad guy in the franchise.
Yeah. And he's pissed because his
Super
brother
pissed.
got put in the hospital. And he looks, honestly, like Owen Shaw looks fine. He'll pull through.
He does pull through.
Yeah. The important thing about Furious 7 is we get Ramsey, played by Nathalie Emmanuel of Game of Thrones fame, as our super hacker. Mm-hmm. Spoiler, they take down Deckard Shaw, basically, and all is well at the end of the movie.
They don't kill him, though.
They don't kill him. Of course they don't kill him.
Because they know. As soon as he shows up, after 2 days of shooting,
that's right.
They're like, hey, rewrite the end of the script. We got something special
Where's
here.
hold on, let me show my tweet. March 8th, 2015, 5 p.m. I want to buy stock in Jason Statham is a good guy in Fast and the Furious 8. Thank you very much.
That
fucking
was a good
called
call.
it. Of course.
That was a good
because,
call.
like, what does it mean? If you're like, this is a great character, let's just figure out a way to make him good.
Although I would like to point out that, you ready for this?
Yeah, tell me.
Because I have one too. I have a tweet as well.
I love
I'm
it.
show that on there as well. At the same time, I said there was going to be a Hobbs spinoff with Shaw as his partner in 2015. Probably March 7th. If yours was March 8th, you probably saw mine. And they were like, let me piggyback.
How fucking dare you?
I just made that up. None of that is true.
Anyway, they don't kill Shaw.
They don't kill Shaw, but they do, and this is the most important part of the movie.
Yes.
They do give Brian his send-off. Paul Walker tragically has passed away. If they would have said in 2001, when the first one came out, hey, guess what? 14 years from now, you're going to be sitting in a movie theater,
Crying.
and a fucking Wiz Khalifa song is going to make you cry.
To a scene of Vin Diesel.
And not like an ironic
ugly
sort of,
cry.
This is a
Ugly
sincere,
cry. Yeah.
I felt connected to this person. They do the quick flashback. You realize the history you've had with not only this character, but with this person playing this character.
It's
You remember the story that he has passed away. And they handled it in just this incredibly beautiful way.
They landed it in every way you needed to land it.
It was so great. Dom walks off without saying goodbye,
Yeah.
and you're like, that must be the end. And then the car pulls up.
The car
and
pulls
it's
up,
them
and they look,
again.
and he smiles at you.
He gives you that last smile, and he's like, you know, I always said I live my life a quarter mile at a time, and they do that whole thing, and then they do the top shot, and the car pulls away, and you're like, that's really the end of this franchise as we know it. It's got to be something different now.
Well, I walked out of that theater, and everybody looked devastated. Everybody was.
And they told you ahead of time, you're gonna cry. It's really, and you're like, fuck, I'm not gonna.
Fast and the Furious, get
There's
the fuck
no
out
chance.
of it.
And then
wept.
Oh, it took longer than I expected.
Then we have Fate of the Furious. Charlize Theron enters the fray.
in dreads.
In dreads. Now, we were talking about this the other day, and I was like, man, why? What was that choice about? And you have a theory, which I actually really like.
My theory is that this was a hat tip to Angelina Jolie and Gone in 60 Seconds. Also has dreads. I think this is like, let me pay respect to the originator.
Wow. So
the original white woman in dreads in a car movie.
Fucking great. Charlize is the super hacker Cypher, who apparently people thought was like an organization, but it is actually just one person. And she waylays Dom and gets him to seemingly go bad, forcing him to do her bidding, all the while he's working like hell to like sabotage her plans.
Charlize Theron, who has won an Oscar for Best Actress. Helen Mirren is in this movie as well.
Helen Mirren as the Shaw family matriarch.
Like the Fast and the Furious universe has grown so big and just so enjoyable that these extremely talented actors are just jumping in. And honestly,
listen, drop the bag. I'll fucking be in it.
There's nothing a working actor can do in Hollywood today to make me like them faster and
more furiously.
Than getting in one of those movies. Because as soon as they did that, I was like, oh man, I bet Charlize Theron is like a lot of fun to hang out with.
Helen Mirren's Fate of the Furious accent, step on my fucking neck. Drag me behind your car and drown me in English breakfast tea.
And as you pointed out, they work out their differences with Deckard Shaw.
Of course.
He's a good guy now.
Little jail time necessary, but like that happens sometimes.
They break out of the jail and then Mr. Nobody is there and we're like, guess what? Y'all have to work together to catch Dom. Which again, they don't do.
Right.
Nobody can
catch
Dom.
Dom gets away.
We have, at this point, really just said, you know what? Fuck what probably could never ever happen. We're just gonna go for it. We have the submarine chase. We have the Rock redirecting a missile while hanging out of a car. We have that. We have Shaw as a good guy, which is setting in place the Hobbs and Shaw movie that we know is coming. We've successfully done, or mostly successfully done, a Fast movie without Brian in it. They do a great job of like...
Right, they introduce like the new young kind of like law enforcement guy who's...
he's terrible.
He's terrible, but
Eastwood.
Like they try. Scott Eastwood, woo, tough.
But...
Tough room for the Eastwood clan.
We have all in place. Shaw's a good guy. Hobbs is like not really with the DDS anymore.
Of course, because he keeps letting criminals go and like getting fucked up.
Dom has a baby.
Yeah.
That he has to take care of now. Letty's back. Everybody's good. Like there's no more amnesia. We have all of the pieces. We're set for the next 10 years. We got movies to go.
Hobbs and Shaw. Justice for Han. Will we ever get it? Here's the issue. Here's my thing. Now, we were talking about this previously.
We were.
Shaw murdered Han. This cannot stand. But is Han really dead?
Okay, here's the thing. He doesn't have to be dead. He's probably dead, but he doesn't have to be dead. There's a 20% chance he's not. Either way, it's still not good that Shaw became like a part of the team. I understand why it had to happen. There was just no way of... You don't throw that away.
You don't throw it away.
You don't throw Jason Statham away when you can pair them up.
Here's how you could do it. None of this... Also, like, deaths, none of this matters in this universe. You say... No, but you know what I mean.
I don't.
So...
You just said none of this matters.
Here's what they would do.
Okay.
Shaw murders Han, but then it turns out it was a ruse because Han needed to, like, go under deep, super deep cover to break some like ISIS level terrorist group that only he was capable of doing. And now that all that stuff is kind of taken care of, he can emerge and rejoin the group and be like, guess what? It was fake. What was in the coffin? Just like rocks and stuff.
Okay, here's how I think it's gonna happen. Because in Hobbs and Shaw are together. They fight Stringer Bell, Idris Elba as Brixton, a superhuman
biologically engineered guy
by a company named Etion, and that company is controlled by just this voice. You never see anything. It's just a voice on the wall, and they end up fighting him whenever he dies. So this is how you get Han back into
Yeah.
it. We flash back to Shaw walking away from the car as it's exploding, turned upside down. He's gone. We just stay on the car for a minute. Somebody comes running in. They drag out a body. It's Han.
He's all
jacked up.
Right.
He's alive but jacked up. They drag him away. He's in the hospital for a year.
Right.
Year and a half. When he comes out of it, he's like, "Oh, let me check on my people," and then he sees that Shaw is working with them, and he's like,
pissed.
And he's pissed. He's pissed. He becomes the main bad guy. He rebuilds himself. He starts his company.
Right.
He becomes the voice. That's like,
he develops the super serum that like used on Brixton. He uses it on himself first. So actually, he is now like a metahuman.
he's patient zero.
He's
metahuman.
patient zero metahuman.
And you don't want that. And
don't
then,
want it.
This is what's going to be really cool, because they're going to do that. And remember, his role in all of this is he's the chameleon. He's the guy who just sort of blends
Right.
in. We're going to get a bunch of quick shots from the series.
Of like where he's like,
and
right,
you're going to realize
there he's been
in
there the whole
background.
time.
He's been there watching from like on the mountain. He's like off in the distance looking, watching Dom drive off the fucking mountain.
Hobbs and Shaw in a theater near you.